My guest on the Travel Winds podcast today is magician Adam Trent. Adam has traveled performing magic and creating entertainment for his fans around the world. He's performed on Broadway with the Illusionists, and this past year had over 70 show dates using magic, comedy, and music. He has his own 10-episode TV series called The Road Trick, and it's available on Netflix right now, along with frequent TV appearances on The Ellen DeGeneres Show, America's Got Talent, The Today Show, and countless others. With Adam traveling roughly 200 days a year for his work, I thought he would be an excellent guest on my show. On the podcast, he shares stories of his favorite places to visit and some extra travel tips for magicians. I'd personally like to thank Adam for being a true professional, as I had some technical difficulties at the beginning of this recording. Adam has several upcoming shows in Illinois, Pennsylvania, and ending the year back in New York City. You can catch up with Adam's schedule at www.adamtrent.com or on his Instagram page at Adam Trent Magic or on his Facebook page, Adam Trent Magic. Here you go, guys. Here's my podcast with magician Adam Trent.
On my Travel Winds podcast, what I like doing is talking to people that travel for work.
Okay.
So you are an absolutely acclaimed, award-winning magician, but the thing that really amazed me the most was the Road Trick show you had on that you have on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
The 10 episodes that you did traveling to different countries, obviously enjoyed the magic. The idea that you went there and with just basically your street magic, your busking magic,
Yep.
and got into things and were able to do and visit things that you wouldn't have otherwise been able to do just by showing them some magic. It changed my mindset into my podcast, actually.
Oh, very cool.
I know you were inspired by David Copperfield when you were young, and
yeah,
you're an overnight success after 20 years.
Exactly.
It seems like you delved into more of the inside. And I know a lot of people probably watched that show and saw the magic, but I saw the kid that had the stuttering issue, had the speech impediment issue. Saw you were on the Carnival cruise ship. The part that got me the most, Adam, was when you were on the, I don't want to say dinghy, but the smaller boat leaving the yacht in Monaco, and you looked out at the cruise ship.
Yeah.
And you talked about how you were on that ship just a few years ago and you made the decision to do something better with it.
Right.
That's what got me inspired to reach out to people like yourself to get on my podcast and talk about the actual travel.
Oh, very cool. I appreciate all that, and I'm glad we could make this happen.
Yeah, it's exciting because I think people would come see your show and go, oh, okay, he showed up. But the logistics behind the Illusionist show that you do with the screens and all the equipment you actually have to travel with, I don't think people can appreciate how much work goes involved into making that show happen.
It's a logistical nightmare. Is what it is. So when I travel with that show, there's actually 11 people that come on the show with me. There's 11 people that help set it up and do this whole show. And there's a bus and a truck, and everyone sleeps on a bus, and we go to bed after a show, and we wake up in a new city. And you really do kind of lose track of where you are when you're doing these things. But yeah, on this last tour, I went to 70-something cities in a few months. Yeah, obviously, filming the Road Trick, I spent 10 weeks traveling Europe and going to, I think, 11 or 12 different countries. So traveling nonstop.
Do you like to travel, or is it a necessary evil for you?
It's a bit of both. I mean, it's a necessary evil when it stacks up and I start to become homesick and I miss my friends, my family, and everything. But I do love traveling. It's one of these things where when I'm away for a while, all I want to do is get home, and then I get home and I'll be home for a week or two, and I'm like, okay, I got to get out of here and go travel
somewhere.
There's something really exciting about going and waking up in a town you've never been before and kind of just going out and being on your own. I mean, I actually enjoy traveling alone more than I enjoy traveling with other people. So, my favorite trips that I do are when it's just me and I'm going out to do a show somewhere. It's me in some strange city, and I do my show and my obligations are done for the night, and I kind of have a night to just kind of do whatever I want in this random city. It's kind of like this strange adrenaline rush that I've always fed off of.
See, I'm very similar. I'm an outside traveling sales rep. I've hit 34 states in the last couple of years for my work, and it's the same. For me, I take a lot of photos when I travel, and that's kind of my travel win. So because I used to travel, I'd come home, my daughters would be like, "Hey, so what's Rapid City, North Dakota look like?" And I'd be like, it's nice. So I started taking my camera, and then I started getting better with my camera and taking some better shots and all that. But it made my travel just about going and making money and making a sale and doing this. It was, well, if I can go, I'll make my money and this and that. But I wonder what kind of shot I'm going to get. So it made my mind think about other things other than just focus on the work.
Right. That's nice. I like that, actually. I guess for me, magic's kind of been like that, but I actually I don't do something like that, which it's actually a great idea, is to kind of find a purpose within the travels.
Yeah.
That kind of makes it fun and makes it a fun game for yourself.
Well, like one person I talked to, he actually has an app on his phone. He travels 3 weeks a month for work.
Oh, wow.
He's a VP of UAG, the tablet case company. He has an app on his phone, and he looks up craft breweries in every city that he goes to.
Ah.
So he'll go and try a good beer, a fresh beer from that city.
Right.
That's kind of his travel win.
I usually end up trying the Chili's or Applebee's in different cities. Unfortunately.
I can tell you about them all too.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat. Yeah. Hey, after watching the show, I loved when you said you didn't like the steak. I think it was in Italy, and you didn't want the steak the way they made it.
Yes.
And I'm like, I would be the same way. I want what I want.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's actually, if I'd say my one downfall to traveling a lot is food. I'm somewhat of a picky eater. That is the one thing where, like, when I start traveling to really exotic places, whether it be, Africa or, even parts of Europe, or, I do always kind of worry about, like, when's my next meal that kind of fits the parameters of what I like going to come in, and I wish I was more adventurous with food, but something I'm working on, I'm getting better at constantly. But yeah, if I were a giant foodie and I had a extremely adventurous palate, I'd probably enjoy traveling even more.
It'd be a lot bigger too, but that's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's my issue. I'll find the Chili's, Applebee's. Some cities it's just fast food. It's crazy when you drive around. You're like, God, I just want a decent meal. Nothing fancy, but
exactly
something clean. How many days a year are you on the road, do you think? Not just performing, but actual travel.
I'd say just over half a year. Probably, yeah. I'd say somewhere around the 200 days a year mark. It's becoming less and less. I'm trying to produce more shows and perform and perform in less shows. So produce more, perform less. But I still travel quite a bit. But yeah, it is shrinking less and less every year. I mean, I've been traveling basically my entire professional career. When I graduated college when I was 21 and started performing on cruise ships shortly after. And when I was on cruise ships, I was traveling 45 weeks a year, I want to say, and just living out of a suitcase. And, I wouldn't come home for 6 months at a time sometimes.
Yeah.
So, but it's kind of becoming more and more like weekend stuff where I'll go out for, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then come home on Sunday. And, I do that once or twice a month.
I like how you make it casual. Like you were just in Atlantic City at Caesars for the weekend.
Right.
I mean, that's a nice gig.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. There's definitely some fun gigs in there.
What do you think? If you were to talk to a magician, a younger one, doesn't have to be an age, but someone that's maybe getting started in magic, what would you tell them about the travel? What to avoid, and what kind of tips would you give them about traveling?
Honestly, it's streamline the packing. It's streamline your operation. Like I have one suitcase that I've had for probably a decade now, and I refuse to change because it just has the perfect pockets that I need for for certain things, and it has, it's got 4 wheels, and it I like the handle on it. It fits in the overhead compartments, and finding a streamlined kind of packing method is so important. Be organized. There's so many gigs that I get to where I'll be unpacking and I'm like, oh crap, I forgot I don't have any batteries, or I don't have any whatever, and a lot of that is because I hate packing more than anything in the world. And so I usually, I procrastinate it until like the very last minute where literally I'm packing while the Uber's coming to my house. And unfortunately, like for my specific trade where items are very, necessary, it's not like I'm just packing a laptop. I have all these knick-knack things. There's double stick tape. There's, annoying little paper shredders. There's all kinds of weird things I have that are very hard to, source if you forget, if you're in the middle of Kansas. You can't find this specific thing. Thankfully, actually, Amazon's made my life a lot easier.
I was going to say.
If I arrive places, I can get same-day delivery on something. But, I've made a pack list now that I kind of have printed out, and I just kind of go through that, and really, I mean, I just know where everything is. I mean, like if I were blindfolded on an airplane and someone said, hey, get chapstick out of your bag, I could tell you exactly which compartment it's in, exactly what, I just have all this stuff. It's kind of second nature now at this point. That stuff's really, it's been helpful over the years of, if I have a headache, I know exactly, where the medication is. I know, it's it's sunscreen and, every little thing that I could need. And even little things of like, oh, okay, should I put the dental floss in my dog kit in my main bag, or should I have a little bit in my backpack in case you're on an airplane and you eat corn and, so all these little things that have just kind of made life easier over the years. It just makes life easier. And then obviously the more you travel, the more you kind of start to get upgraded on flights, and that's nice as well. So, I think things, it's like anything else. Like traveling is kind of an art of its own, and you do get better at it the more you do it. But, keep it small and keep it simple would be my advice to any magician specifically is, like if you're going to pack something big, like make sure that you get a lot of mileage out of it, because, like every single pound, every single awkward item that has to
every staircase you have to carry it up and down.
Yeah, all those things really add up, and it makes your life hell. And I used to travel with like 4 suitcases because I wanted to have little banners on the side of the stage and whatnot. And I just cut all these things out. Or I found more creative ways to have a cloth banner that could be hooked against the wall and not require all the aluminum and all the poles to cut the frame and all those little things. I mean, like even now, like I'll go perform at a 2,000-seat theater, and my entire show fits inside 2 suitcases. I've thought through the pack as much as I've thought through the show.
And that's, but you're like, I know on your bigger shows you have the electronics and the TVs and all that. That's a big rig full of stuff.
Yeah, that's a whole different kind of travel, though. I mean, that's where you have people that are literally helping you travel, and people are packing it for you, But kind of where I came from, and a lot of what I enjoy the most is when I go out and do shows where it's just me, or maybe it's just me and one, tech person. And for that, like I am physically carrying the gear myself. Yeah. And so, yeah, I've kept it streamlined.
Well, see, I pack the same way now. And like, I even when I meet people, they're like, oh, my screw came out. And I'm like, oh, I have that kit.
Right.
I have all the little kits and all the stuff.
Right.
And that's just stuff you learn being on the road. And that's what I try to help people that are getting started in a traveling industry, whether it's sales or whatever, is for me, I pack. I'm just like you. I could tell you exactly where everything is in my suit, in my laptop bag.
Right.
I have extra paper. I have a pad of paper. I have extra pens. I have markers. I have,
Yep.
all that. Now, I did learn to take out my stapler.
Yeah.
My stapler, for some reason, was getting flagged by TSA.
Because
it has a grip on it, grip handle. And so they would flag it, and I'd go to the secondary, and I'm like, oh, come on, guys, I'm TSA pre. I don't need to do this.
Right.
Did you get into TSA pre and global entry and all that?
I'm into all that. Yep, absolutely. I get stopped by TSA all the time because I'm traveling with like a microphone system that is packed like a set of Tetris, where it's like, for me to take this thing out of my bag is like a nightmare. And I find that I only get stopped probably 1 in every 4 times.
Right.
Yeah, I get stopped, quite a bit. And then when they open up my bag, obviously it's a nightmare because there's like, it looks like I'm a magician or a serial killer.
I was gonna say you're playing Jenga.
Yeah, it looks weird in my suitcase because I've got all kinds of weird, rope and there's all kinds. I got zip ties. I have all kinds of weird stuff in my bag. And so, usually I'm like, hey, it's okay, I'm a magician, and this is for this part, and I've got white powder, and I've got all kinds of weird stuff in the bag. So there's always a little bit of a explanation process. But usually there's like, I always keep like a few like promo cards, like a few, kind of like business cards or DVDs in the bag as well, so I can kind of pull that out and show them, and they're like, oh, okay, this looks legitimate and not quite as sketchy as first impression.
See, that's good stuff, though. I mean, TSA is no joke in some cities, and I'm TSA pre. I don't go out of the country too much, so I haven't gotten the global entry.
Oh, right.
I live on TSA pre because I fly I go to Denver 4 times a year, Vegas several times a year, just for shows and sales meetings and all that. So
yeah, it's definitely a game changer being TSA pre. Huge game changer.
You've been to DIA, right?
Yeah, I actually
Denver?
live in Denver.
Yeah. So I went there January, and it was right after one of the playoff games. So I'm looking at the lines, and they do the security checks on both sides, and they were both just packed. I'm like, oh my God, is this TSA pre? And they're like, no, that's over there. I was like 6 people in line.
Right.
Versus 150 waiting to get through.
Got to be TSA pre.
It's so worth it. I fought it for a while.
No, it's definitely worth it.
With all the traveling you've done, what's your favorite place to go to?
Boy, I've got a few actually. Dubai is one of my favorites, just because it just blew my mind. I'd never seen anything like it. It was just complete insanity. I love Sydney. I love Australia as a whole. Had some of the best times of my life in Australia. I go to New York every year or not every year, but I'll be going this year for the third time to perform on Broadway with the Illusionists. And I always love New York City. There's something about New York that when I get in New York, it's just I'm always in a good mood. I'm always excited. It's always a exciting trip. So I'd say Dubai, Sydney. I'd say I'd throw in Paris. I was
going to say, you seem to be a big fan of Paris when you went to the catacombs and all that.
Yeah. I'd say there's, I love Europe, but I kind of, as much as some people will get mad at this, I kind of group a lot of Europe into one, just because usually when I go to Europe, I kind of bounce between countries, so a lot of them kind of blur together. But I love Holland, I love Paris, I love Denmark. There's a lot of places I love in Europe.
I was blown away. Like, you went to places I didn't think. Most people like Budapest.
Right.
You went to countries that aren't on your typical travel advisory or whatever.
Yeah, and I should have mentioned Budapest. Budapest was a really I've never been more surprised by a country than Budapest. I think shouldn't say Budapest as a country.
Hungary,
a city, but yeah. I was just so blown away by it. I had no idea what to expect, and it was so unbelievable there. So I definitely plan on returning to Budapest sometime soon.
I hope everybody watches Road Trick, going parasailing or whatever I don't know what they call it, in the Alps.
Yes.
I mean, you had so many cool experiences, and it was neat. The nice thing about it, you showed a lot of the failures too.
Yes, there were many failures. I mean, basically, for people who are listening who don't know what it is a series I made about 2 years ago now called The Road Trick, and it just recently got put on Netflix a few months ago, I believe.
Yeah.
And basically, I travel around Europe doing magic for strangers and kind of, doing magic in exchange for them showing me their city. So, I'd show up in a town with no real plan, and it really was not produced. It was not set up. I would actually approach strangers and show them a magic trick, and after they were like, "Oh, that was great," I'd be like, "Cool. What can you show me in your city that's unique and different than
every day?"
Yeah, and different than like a tourist would normally see in a guidebook. And there were some amazing things. Part of it was, as you mentioned, going to the catacombs in Paris, going on a yacht party in Monte Carlo, being taken down. I think I just mentioned catacombs. I went parasailing off the Swiss Alps. In Morocco, I got taken out to the middle of the Saharan desert to kind of watch that
was cool.
A shaman perform ritualistic magic. So there were some really interesting cultural things that I got to see as a result of it. I'm not normally that adventurous, to be honest. A lot of that was, like when there's a camera crew following you around and you have to make content. You're like, all right, I'm gonna go down this manhole in the middle of the street with strangers.
Doing parkour on the roofs of Paris, sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna go jump across rooftops in Paris. I definitely don't do that when I'm just like on a normal gig in the middle of Kansas.
Yeah. No, and like I said, that it really showed different parts of the country. I mean, when you got shot down trying to get into that restaurant, I think it was in Denmark.
Yeah.
With the model.
Right.
I mean, that was awesome. The fact that you didn't get in.
Right. Yeah. There was definitely many, many failures along the way. I mean, because like I said, it was not a reality show where they say, "Hey, here's a guy over here. Go talk to him, and he'll let you in the party," or whatever. It was literally, like we'd wake up and I'd leave the hotel room with a backpack, and for the whole day I would just kind of wander around this random city in a random country in Europe, and just kind of perform magic for people and see what I could get into. And so there were many more failures than successes, but the failures, it was thankfully the failures don't take a long time. If someone says no, you just move on, and you're talking to someone else 90 seconds later.
Yeah, like when you're staying on the park bench, and the guy's like, "You need to get off the park bench. You're not allowed to stand up there."
Right, exactly. Move on.
It's like, oh, okay. But a lot of the magicians, magic shows, they only show you the successes.
Right.
And even a lot of TV in general, they don't show you the failures of it.
Right.
Or the hardships of actually trying to make something happen. And I thought that really made your show stand out to me.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was we went into it not knowing what was going to happen, and to be honest, like the show was originally produced by Red Bull.
Yeah.
And when we first talked about it, it was an idea that I had. I kind of pitched to them, and they were like, "All right, so is this going to work? Like, are you going to do amazing things, or are you going to end up just like walking around cities all day?" And I was like, honestly, I don't know. And we kind of came to an agreement that like, look, well, like let's go film this, and whatever, and like we could get 10 episodes of me just failing for 10 episodes, but whatever we get, we're going to film it. Obviously we want to show as many of the great successes as possible, because there were some amazing things that happened while I was out there. There's some amazing special moments, but we also didn't want to make it seem like it was easy, because it certainly wasn't.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of where my podcast comes in. A lot of people look at what I do, or I've interviewed musicians and singing artists, and they're like, "Oh, you're so lucky." And I'm like, "You're on the road 220 days a year. It's a lot of work in between all the lucky parts."
Right. Yes. There's definitely, I always say to people, I go, there's many nights that you probably wish you were me, and there's many nights I wish I was you.
Yeah.
But the thing I find about traveling is that every now and then, and I'm sure everyone who's traveled can relate to this, there's an exhilarating moment every now and then where you're in some city and some awesome thing happens, and whatever it is, it can be just having a beer with some locals at a bar, and just meeting interesting people. It's those few interesting moments that kind of re-energize you to travel again for the next several months. Because I can be feeling really down and be swearing that I'm going to stop traveling tomorrow. I'm done traveling. I'm never traveling again. And then something will happen, and and I'll be like, you know what? Yeah, I love traveling again. To kind of re-energizes me again.
Absolutely.
So I hope to never run out of that steam.
How do you balance the work-life balance? As far as you're on the road 200 days a year, yet you want a relationship, you want friends, you got family.
Totally.
How hard is it to balance all that?
I found that it's all about finding the right people. I mean, my friends are extremely understanding. My girlfriend completely understands when I've missed my family. I've missed every Christmas and birthday and holiday for the last 10 years now. Actually, I shouldn't say everyone. I think there was one holiday I got to spend at home with family, and that was probably 3 years ago. But I'm a very easygoing person with it. I don't get bent out of shape about it. I've always worked on my birthday. I've always worked on every Valentine's Day and whatnot. And I think that the people that you naturally surround yourself with in your life kind of understand that. Hey, we may not be able to celebrate on December 25th, but guess what? I get back January 8th, and we're gonna have Christmas on January 8th.
Yeah. Exactly.
You celebrate your birthday a month and a half late or a month and a half early. I'm having a Halloween party like October 1st because I'm going to be gone for Halloween. So it's kind of one of these things where you just kind of, if you're a person who's really dead set on dates, then yes, you're bound to be disappointed yourself, and you're bound to disappoint many people in your life, because every single year you'll have to choose between someone's birthday or Valentine's Day. I mean, you look at the number of holidays, and it stacks up real quick. Whereas I guess maybe I've just done a good job of setting expectations very low for me being there, to where my family will be like, hey, we're having a family reunion, but totally understand if you can't come. My girlfriend's like, hey, I'm totally not expecting you to be here on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if you were here on Valentine's Day. So I guess that's as the best place to start with balancing work life. I mean, as far as but even everything else. I mean, I'm working constantly. I mean, last night, I was up until 4:30 a.m. Just working on stuff. And my girlfriend has a regular job. She has to wake up at 7 a.m. and go to work.
Yeah.
She kind of gets okay. Sometimes he'll go to bed at 7 p.m. and wake up at 6 a.m. and other times he'll go to bed at 6 a.m. and wake up at 4 p.m. And she just kind of rolls with the punches. And I think that people kind of just get it. I've definitely had people in my life before that were very, it was going to be a huge argument if I wasn't on their schedule and if I missed this specific thing. And I've always been so passionate about what I've done that if people can't kind of go with the flow, then I usually don't end up spending
too much time with
them. Yeah.
Are you concerned about starting a family? And
a little bit, absolutely, and that's something that I've that's what kind of why I'm trying to produce more shows and perform less, and there's something I thought about in the last year or so where I was like, okay, I'm 33 years old now, and I'm like, I'm kind of, I guess I've technically been out of the 20s phase for a while now, but I always feel like I'm still younger than I am.
That doesn't change,
yeah, I feel like I'm like 21 still, but I was like, I absolutely want all that stuff in my life, and I don't want to be traveling 45, even 30, even 20 weeks a year at that place. Maybe some of it's inevitable, but I want to structure to a place where I can travel to places I want to go and when I want to go, as opposed to being required to. But look, as with everything in life, it's never perfect. So I certainly anticipate myself having to travel quite a bit for the next 10 years or so. We'll see.
I mean, for my daughters are in their 20s now. They both graduated college and they work. So now I think they appreciate it more now because they see, oh yeah, you have to wake up, you have to go to work. But when they were in high school and I was traveling, I always just tried to really, same thing with my wife and my friends. It's like, okay, I'm very good at, we put up a dry erase board with a calendar. And so I go, I'm gone this week. Here's date night this night. I'm home these 4 days. Use and abuse me if you want here. I'll go do your I'll go do your shopping stuff, and we'll go have lunches and breakfast and all that. And then I'm gone for this week. So try and plan it out and schedule it.
I've kind of found an interesting thing where I've actually found that a lot of my relationships have gotten better with friends and whatnot with traveling, in the sense that last summer, for example, must have been a year ago, I was in town for basically the entire summer. I was down for 4 months straight, and I was so bored, and the weekends would just kind of come and go. And I was like, hey guys, what are we all doing this weekend? And everyone's like, I don't know, should we just sit around and do nothing? And we're like, yeah, let's do that, I guess, because I was in town for so long. Whereas when I start traveling again and I'm gone for 2 weekends a month, I find that we'll be texting each other when I'm away, and they're like, hey, you here this weekend? I'm like, no. They're like, well, next weekend let's really get organized and plan something cool, because you're only back for a weekend. So I get back in town, it's like my whole schedule is booked with doing amazingly fun things, and that doesn't happen when I'm just
around.
When I'm just around, everyone, I guess everything's taken for granted.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. It's like if for me, I'm like you. It's like when I'm on the road, I'm like, God, I want to be home. I want to wake up in my own bed. I want to just make my own breakfast. But then when I'm home, I'm like, for me, I'm not making money if I'm not on the road. So I'm like, there's always that pull. And then I like being on the road, but then I like being home. It's kind of it's a weird mixture.
Yep. Yeah.
I spend 16 days every year in Vegas for during the rodeo.
Oh, okay.
And 16 days in a Vegas hotel is just too much.
Right.
I
think 2 days in a Vegas hotel is too much.
Yeah, and then after the first, when all the young kids get there, they're like, "Yay, Vegas!" And you see them the second week, they're like, "Oh my God, I want to go home."
Right.
Some have lost all their money already. And
yep.
I'm the old guy going, "No, I'm just going to pace myself."
Right.
So, what do you have coming up? I mean, what do you want your fans to check out?
Well, so I have a handful of shows coming up in around Chicago area, then heading over to, I'll just tell you the towns if people know them. There's Waukegan, Illinois, which is outside Chicago, Normal, Illinois, which I believe is a bit south, then York, Pennsylvania, which is about kind of near East Pennsylvania, I believe. But look, do that, and then I go to Broadway with the Illusionists starting in November. I'll be on Broadway with them for 5 weeks from Thanksgiving until New Year's, and then I come back and I'm doing a handful of shows per month. I'm doing Thousand Oaks, California next year. I'm doing I think Milwaukee. There's constantly dates being added. I mean, people want to see a show. I guess number one, the most accessible thing would be to go to Netflix and just watch The Road Trick. That. They can see videos of mine on YouTube or whatnot, or AdamTrent.com, and then if they like what they see, then check out my tour schedule and come see a live tour date. I'll show you how I pack.
Or unpack.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Adam, I truly appreciate the time. I know you're super busy right now, but
absolutely, thank you very much. I'm very thankful that you asked me to be on this.
Yeah, and I'll send you the link and get everything set up for you and show you what I've done.
Much appreciated, man. Congrats on the podcast and everything, and look forward to crossing paths in person sometime.
Yeah, we're in the same neighborhood, so yeah, never know.
Certainly. Cool, man.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Cheers. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.